Like I said, one of the things that you may find is that once you've prepped your leather, if you measure it to the width that you need, it'll thin out. And so what you'll see is your strands will get thinner, and that'll give you some gap. That's one of the problems that you have to, so you actually have to cut your strands a lot of times wider than you think you need it. That's the finished measurement. That handle times 4 divided by the number of strands, that's what it has to end at. I'll give you a great example. McDonald's, quarter pounder with cheese before cooking. Right? So at the end, you're not getting a quarter pounder, right? Half of it's going down a drain somewhere. But that's the thing. That's the measurement that you need at the end. So measure your handle of what you're going to be braiding. So if you're going to put a bolster on it, measure it after the bolster's on. Then cut your strands. Cut them wider so that if you're going to be stretching them, or if you're putting enough tension on that they start to narrow, like I showed in that example. But yeah, feel free to try it. You know, throw a couple of strands on it. I really don't give a shit. Help yourself. I mean, that's why we're here. So play around with it. So always make sure that the measurement is the final measurement of what you're going to be doing, and then you'll see it, right? I mean, in theory, you got to look. At 45 degrees, you should have basically squares, right? Which is essentially what you have. So like I said, it's 45-ish. So you do have squares. And what you'll see is if people aren't using 45, you'll see that these are like diamond shaped, right? You look at these squash looks. Everybody ever seen the floggers that have like
some people actually do?
Yeah, absolutely, right? But that's what it is that they're using narrower strands and doing it at a much shallower angle, so that everything's going around. At 45 degrees, you're basically getting a checkerboard, a square. So that's what that is. All right, so now we're going for braiding, and ask me any questions you want as we go. No, because we're going to be done with braiding for the time being. And if you want to ask me about knots, you're going to have to. Because we're not covering knots tonight. Knots is like a 10-hour class on its own, and it involves...
But that's why I'm here.
It involves... Well, no, but I brought stuff to do it, so I'll talk to you after. I wasn't sure if you're going to be here, I brought stuff to do. Because knots are those big fancy things at the end, and I don't know if I've got one that I've done in colors that look really cool, but that's these things here, and they involve a certain language that is not PC enough to be used in a public space.
They'll teach you a new vocabulary.
Absolutely.
You're talking about the Turk's head?
Yeah.
Pineapple.
Yeah, well, Turk's head. They're all variations on Turk's head. See, we're already getting. We're not going to do that.
That is successful. That I will never touch again.
All right. So let's get our falls attached, shall we? Okay. Now I'm just going to give you a quick thing about what I'm doing here. I'm doing 2 tones. This is a custom order I'm doing. I've done them 2 ways. I've done one where I've done one color on the inside with an outer color on the outside, which is a really cool look. So it'd be all black until you use it, and then the blue would come through. This particular one, like this sample, is actually overlapped and wrapped around. So it's basically got a layer of blue, a layer of black, a layer of blue. Because this blue leather is a little bit thinner than the black, and I wanted the weight, I'll pass this around so people can get a feel for it. These are 20-inch falls. I usually use 40. This is actually 52 falls because I wanted the extra falls to compensate for the lighter weight of the blue. So that's what's going on. So what I've done, so you'll see, hopefully you'll see what I've done here, is if it was one piece, this would be twice as long, obviously. I'm using 2 colors, it's half as big. I've left a 1/2 inch at the top, 1/2 inch-esque, you know, whatever it is. But the 1/2 inch is important because that's what's actually going to be attaching the falls to the handle, okay? Now, has anybody ever had problems with floggers, falls coming off, anything like that? No? You hear about that sometimes. Yeah. Was it your own though?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
first one.
Yeah.
And a drag.
I'm really, really conscientious about the way I attach falls. Some people might think it's overkill. I don't care. I don't want this stuff to fail, right? I want these to be...
Have you ever used a nail gun?
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could use a nail gun. The reason I don't like nails, and this actually comes from a bit of a construction background I have, is that with enough tension torquing, anybody been on a deck that has nails with nails sticking out of the top of it? That's why you want to use screws, because any kind of tension and flex, nails will start to work loose. So, you'll see I have nails. That seems kind of backwards for what I just said, doesn't it? There is a reason. We are going to get into this. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am going to be overlapping these colors. I'm going to be putting black on the outside, blue on the inside, and I'm actually going to kind of lead out. You'll see I've got the blue overhanging a little bit. The reason I'm doing that is because as it wraps, like a record player, it's going to the inside one's going to be narrower than the outside. So I've got some overlap. Now, the nails.
About how much overlap?
This one you don't have to worry about because normally, like I said, I would use one sheet.
Okay.
This is just a custom thing that I'm doing. If you're doing 2 colors, play around with it, right? The thing about it is, you don't have to attach falls. You can just try them. You can dry fit them and see if you like it. You know what I mean? So at the end, you'll kind of get to see what the overall look is going to be, right? So you're going to see that what I have is this sort of spread out, interspaced look, right? So you've got a mix in between. If I had done the blue and then wrapped the black around, I would have all black on the outside with the blue on the inside. But obviously, because the black's going on the outside, you're going to have at least one layer of the black going up. And like I said, it's a great question. In this particular case, I'm actually going to move it over a little less far because when I apply tension, I do actually want the blue to poke out a little because I actually want it half blue and half black. You'll see on the outside, one side's got black, one side's got blue. That's because when they wrapped around, the blue was poking out farther than the black, so you've got a layer of blue and then a layer of black.
Okay.
But that starts to get into some finicky stuff. If you're doing one layer, it doesn't matter. If you're doing like one strip of falls, just keep wrapping.
Okay.
So, what I'm going to do is, I'm trying to decide if I really want to, what's our time? Are we getting close to the end here? Maybe we'll get into knots, who knows? 8?
It's just before 8.
Oh, good Lord. Oh.
Here come the knots. She just got a Woody.
See? All right. These are carpet tacks. The reason I use carpet tacks, even though I just said I don't use nails, is that I'm not actually using the carpet tacks to attach the falls. The reason I'm using the carpet tack is to actually apply tension, if that's a word I'm going to use until it dies. Is that I'm going to be putting this through the leather and into the handle so I can apply tension on the falls as I'm wrapping it, because I want them to be as tight around the handle as I can. Obviously, because I'm holding the falls in one hand and turning it, I don't have a third hand or tail to hold on to, so I need something to do that. That's what I use the nail for. The reason I use carpet tacks is they've got a really nice wide head and a short nail. Why that's good is I don't have to pound the hell out of it and drive a nail all the way through the wood. And if you've ever worked with leather, if you put any tension on leather, it will split a hole and it'll come right over. Like if you use a thin head nail, it'll just pop right off. So you need something that's going to hold it down. So, let's see here. Yes, I should go. Now the key here, here's the trick. You see that one's already put together, right? That was all assembled. So the trick that I've got to do is knowing that my leather is a living, breathing thing, is I've got to try and replicate what I've done on that one with this one. Good luck to me. So, this is, we're living the science here. Now, even though I only cut my handle, my trim on my falls here a half an inch, we're actually going to go up 3/4 of an inch on the handle to attach them. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, the closer it is to the bottom, the more torque there is, the more likely you are to lose it. Now, obviously, if that were the case, you could move them up 3 inches and they would be solid as a rock, but then you've got a knot that's this big, right? So I find that that's a really good balance between the size I want for my knot and getting good traction on the handle. And where that comes from, I'll show you in a minute. So, I'm overlapping these slightly. Like I said, I want the blue to sort of lead because I'm wrapping. You don't have to worry about that part because that's just a thing for me. So all I'm doing is measuring my 3/4 of an inch. And I do have to admit that I alternate between inches and millimeters just to piss people off. Oh my God, he's writing on the letter. Yeah, it's all covered up, right? That's one of the things that you have to realize, again, because it's cosmetic, is knots, they're really just there to hide things. See that big ugly mass of tape? Who wants to look at that? Put a knot on it, it'll hide everything.
Search it.
Yeah.
Ready?
So all I've done is kind of given myself a mark because, again, it seems like common sense, but a lot of people don't think about it. If you don't actually mark it, when you start to go, if you don't have the leather wrap right, especially because we're going to be gluing it, your knot will kind of like start up here and end down here, and it'll look funky. You want it level all the way around.